So he lays this down in the preface here. This is page 8 of the preface, first full paragraph. Skipping ahead, it says literary study should be devoted not to developing new and more intricate interpretations of literary works, but to exploring the underlying structures and conventions that enable literary works to have the meanings and effects they do for readers. In short, that poetics should take precedence over, how the fuck do you say that?
Hermeneutics.
Yeah. In short, that poetics should take precedence over hermeneutics. So I think that's basically like what he's trying to get at. And again, going back to like the recent French theory, as he talks about, literary study should be devoted not to developing new and more intricate interpretations of literary works, but to exploring the underlying structures and conventions that enable literary works to have the meanings and effects they do for readers. So I think that's interesting stuff, right? What do we think of this? How do we make this? Do we think that this is accurate, good, missing something?
Well, I think it makes sense. I think, if one of the things that he is sort of starting off saying that he doesn't like about the current maybe approach to studying poetry and specifically lyric poetry is that we're hung up on focusing solely on meaning. And I guess specifically this idea that I guess I'm wondering, is that the goal? I mean, I assume he knows better than I do, but I am not reading all of these books that must be coming out then about different ways of understanding and interpreting the same poems over and over again.
Well, he does get into this a little bit further on. This is just the preface where he's kind of laying down an overview. So, I mean, one of the telltale signs that this is like an academic book is that there's a preface and an introduction, both written by him. Uh, and they basically say the same things, but they go and like it's the same type of thing we did with Bloom here, where it kind of builds on each thing. Like each chapter tries to build onto the idea, the theory that he's presenting. But structures and conventions, so more of like exploring the underlying structures and conventions that enable literary works to have the meanings and effects they do for readers. So that seems to be the focus of this book, I would say, which is why I highlighted it at least. And I think that's interesting. I mean, I was talking to Sophie about this. I think a lot of this book is much ado about nothing, but that's what academics like to do. They like to kind of create ways that make it harder for people to think about things. But yeah.